Before we get started, subscribe to our channel. We tell stories that take your breath away and transport you into a world of mysticism and mystery. Subscribe so you don't miss anything interesting. The market in Mwemba village was sheer chaos, bright, noisy and lively. People dressed in colorful fabrics moved, chatted, haggled, and bargained, creating an incredible buzz that was like the singing of thousands of voices. Odors mingled in the air, the sweetness of overripe fruit, spices, roasted meat, and the slight scent of wet earth after the morning rain. Among the many vendors, Mr. Cabe stood out. His counter beckoned as if enchanted. Bulky bunches of ripe mangoes shining like golden stones, bunches of grapes the color of the night sky, oranges shining like the sun. The smell of his fruit was special, sweet, rich, it tickled the nostrils, making the stomach rumble at the mere aroma. But Mr. Cabe himself, tall, with skin the color of dark wood and eyes like pools, evoked ambivalent feelings in people. His voice was soft and deep, like the rustling of the wind in a thick thicket, but something in his gaze made people keep the distance. Around him, the air seemed thick, almost ominous. His fruit is magic, some said. It's too good to be true, others whispered. Mr. Cabe's fruit was more than just delicious. Each bite brought a pleasure bordering on magic. The mangoes melted on the tongue, the pineapples were sweet as honey, and the oranges made a crunching sound that made the whole savannah seem to come alive with it. Layla, a young woman with shiny black hair and a warm voice, bought a mango from Cabe. She took a bite right at the market, and her eyes went wide. The flavor was so amazing that she froze, savoring every second of it. "This is the most delicious mango I've ever had in my life," she exclaimed. From then on, Layla became a regular customer of Cabe's. But each time, she began to notice strange things. After she ate the fruit, her body would become weak. Her legs would shake, her head would spin, and her skin would feel cold to the touch. "These fruits are so sweet, they even take away your strength," she joked to a friend one day. But there was anxiety in her voice. Layla couldn't shake the strange feeling that something was wrong with Mr. Cabe's fruit. His eyes, brilliant and deep as night, seemed to look through people, and his smile was too calm. One night, when the market had long since emptied, Layla decided to follow Cabe. The wind blew so quietly that it seemed afraid to disturb the silence. The scent of night flowers lingered in the air, but beneath it was the faint scent of something dark, metallic, pungent, like blood. Cabe walked confidently, not looking back, heading toward his garden. Layla followed him, holding her breath. Her heart was pounding so hard that it seemed the sound of it might give her away. Mr. Cabe's garden was huge, the trees there growing like giants. The leaves rustled, though there was no wind. In the middle of the garden, on the cleared ground, a fire was burning. Its flames danced, casting strange shadows on the trees. Layla saw Cabe take out a large clay bowl and begin to slowly pour a thick red liquid into it. The smell grew stronger and Layla realized it was blood. Cabe began whispering words in a language she didn't know. The ground around the fire shook, the trees stirred, and their fruit began to sap right before her eyes. Layla froze, her heart sank into her heels. "It's impossible," she whispered, feeling the cold sweep over her body. The next day, Layla couldn't take it anymore. At the market, in front of the crowd, she pointed at Cabe and shouted loudly, "Do you know what he's doing? He's using the blood to feed his trees." People turned around, frozen in shock. But Cabe only smiled, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. "You all enjoy my fruit," he said, his voice soft but intimidating. "But no one asks at what cost they grow. Do you want perfection? There is always a price to pay." His words hung in the air like thunder. The crowd froze, not knowing what to say. Soon people began to move away from his counter, their faces expressing fear and disgust. The next morning, Mr. Cabe was gone. His counter remained empty and his garden was abandoned. The trees that used to be green and full of fruit stood dry, dead. The smell of blood no longer hung in the air, but the silence of the garden was oppressive. People were afraid to go near the place. It was said that at night shadows could be seen in the garden, and if you listened closely, you could hear whispers in an unknown language. Layla never ate fruit from the market again. She realized that sometimes perfection is a mask that hides dark secrets. What do you think of this story? Would you be able to eat fruit knowing such a secret? Write in the comments and subscribe to our channel not to miss more mysterious and amazing stories.